Dude, something absolutely has to be in the water in Columbus, Ohio. I said that last time when we spoke about Seth Jones and the entire notion that he doesn't want to come back, talking about Duchesne and Panarin and Bobrovsky, and now all of a sudden Seth Jones. Not to mention the Dubois and all that as well. Whole bunch of drama with the Columbus Blue Jackets and their star players over the last few years. But when it came to all of that stuff in the water, I didn't even connect the dots on the injury fronts. Because, man, we have ourselves an update that I think is just so weird and so kind of, spooky. Not really, supernatural or whatever. It's just kind of really coincidental to the point where it's like, wow, that's weird. Really, really, really weird that I wanted to talk about here on the channel because I know for Canadiens fans, because we've got quite a few of those on this channel here, I don't know if you've noticed, I think you guys are going to be really interested into seeing what happens here. So Max Domi, former Hab, traded to the Blue Jackets the other summer for Josh Anderson in a 1-for-2 trade. I say 2 because there was a draft pick involved that the Canadiens actually sent over. That guy, Max Domi, has been taken out for 5 to 6 months. And the reason for is highlighted right here on the Columbus Blue Jackets social media. They say that he has had surgery to repair a labral tear of his right shoulder. And as a result, he is expected to be sidelined for 5 to 6 months. Blue Jackets GM Jarmo Kekalainen announced it today that the surgery was performed by Dr. Peter Millet at the Stedman Clinic in Valley, Colorado. Max had been experiencing some discomfort in his shoulder, which he brought to our attention last week, and a subsequent examination revealed a labral tear. It was determined that surgery was the best course of action, and we look forward to Max's return early next season. Now, this isn't actually the first time we've spoken about Domi since the trade to Columbus. We've been making a ton of videos about this guy, because he's a former Hab and he kind of has that status of being the chip that a lot of Canadiens fans really believed in because he scored 70 points in that first year and was never really as good in any year after. And so a lot of Canadiens fans are kind of thinking, okay, well, that's fine because he's not in our team anymore. I just hope he doesn't go to Columbus and becomes a 70, 80-point guy over there. So there's been a lot of attention on Domi, and we've been chronicling that the guy wasn't really all too hot this season, and it was highlighted by a spew of benchings and fourth-line minutes, and it got to a point where there was speculation as to whether or not Domi would be involved in another trade, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it, considering the contract and the situation that happened over there. Josh Anderson, by the way, signing a very long-term deal with the Canadiens, Max Domi signing a short-term deal. This year, though, Domi had 24 points in 54 games played, which is a pretty big low from the previous seasons he has had. Now, they say here in the article that his entire problem with his shoulder was reported a week ago, meaning that you can't even go out there and say that Domi was exhibiting these things during the regular season or whatever. It came up a week ago. After an examination was brought up, they concluded it was a labral tear of his right shoulder and that surgery would be the best move forward. Okay, so Domi is out 5 to 6 months. Why exactly are you making a video about this, Lego? Well, because when it comes to Columbus and what's going on there in the water, labral shoulder tears? Oh man, where have I heard that before? Yeah, so, turns out that a labral shoulder tear is exactly what happened to Josh Anderson as well when he was in Columbus. You take a look at Josh Anderson and his overall profile. The biggest problem with Anderson when the Montreal Canadiens acquired him back in that trade all those summers ago, it was kind of just one summer ago, not even a summer ago, it was in the fall, oh my goodness, was that Anderson in 2019-20 had 26 games played, and he had 4 points, 1 goal and 3 assists. Well, turns out the injury kind of really screwed him up in the season. He got injured in December in a game against the Ottawa Senators, and he didn't have his surgery until March. And it was exactly the same kind of thing that happened to Domi. Anderson was sidelined with a labral tear of his left shoulder. Domi was sidelined with a labral tear of his right shoulder. Anderson, by the way, made a full recovery, came back into the NHL, and was an absolute monster for the Montreal Canadiens, where in the playoffs he has played 9 games and he has 1 goal. Hey, yeah, okay. Granted, the one goal was the first goal of the entire postseason for Montreal and was a very important goal in Game 1 against Toronto, but at the very least, you still have those 17 goals in the regular season to hang your hat on. So, for Max Domi, I'm really intrigued as to how he will bounce back once he recovers and comes back from this entire thing. Not only did Josh Anderson have the same problem, but Josh Anderson came back in the best possible way, where he was an absolute beast. For the most part. When he was on, and I guess he was kind of on every game. It's just he hasn't really been lucky in burying a lot of the other chances he has gotten, aside from that very first goal he got. Regardless, though, Anderson's a good player. And if Domi comes back with the same level of success he had before, then, hey, really good for him. That can shut down all the trade rumors and put him in a top 6 position because he was playing on, I think, the 4th line earlier this year. Yeah, kind of weird, isn't it? But it's kind of funny because when you take a look at the labral shoulder tear, the thing that Josh Anderson had on his left shoulder and the thing that Max Domi had on his right shoulder, where they both had to end up getting surgery for, turns out, the Blue Jackets this year were also without one of their star forwards. His name is Gustav Nyquist. Yeah, you probably heard of this guy. He played 0 games in 2020-2021 because in November of last year, Nyquist was sidelined 5 to 6 months following shoulder surgery for guess what? It was a labral tear on his left shoulder. What? How the heck does this happen, bro? How the heck does Josh Anderson have a beast of a year in the NHL? Then the next year he misses like 3/4 of the season because he has a labral shoulder tear. He gets surgery, he's out 5 to 6 months, he comes back to Montreal, and he is great. Okay, cool. But after Josh Anderson gets sent over to Montreal, you have Gustav Nyquist, another top star on the Columbus Blue Jackets. He scored 42 points in 70 games last year. And, you know, Nyquist, he's a great player, right? Oh, Nyquist named his channel after him. That guy gets the same problem that Josh Anderson has just earlier a year ago. He gets the same surgery, he's sidelined for the same amount of time. And now, in Columbus, once again, it's Max Domi with another labral shoulder tear. 3 very similar injuries, very specific injuries too, with really long recovery times. You have 3 of these happening to 3 guys on the same team in the span of a year and a half. How is that not absolutely insane? That is so weird, so coincidental, and quite frankly, I'm kind of fearing for my life here just reading these things out loud. Kind of scared that Bloody Mary's going to appear in the mirror once I go to bed later tonight. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing off the top of my head here. But is it not super coincidental that Nyquist, Anderson, and now Domi of all people all have the same thing? Domi was the guy that was traded for Josh Anderson, and now he's out 5 to 6 months. Luckily for Max Domi, though, it appears once the NHL season gets underway, I mean, we'll probably see him there. It's already June. 5 to 6 months means that he'll be out until what? July, August, September, October, November, or December? November, December-ish, we will see Max Domi return, which, if we're playing a full 82-game season next year, should not be a significant chunk of the year. So I think Domi will be fine. Nyquist already missed out on an entire season, and Anderson already missed out on a very good chunk of last year's season, too. So Domi might be considered as one of the lucky ones because he's getting the surgery and the recovery time for the surgery in the offseason. The Blue Jackets, I think, if you want to go the Tampa Bay Lightning route, the Blue Jackets should have just told Domi, okay, stop that, you're not doing the surgery yet, wait until the start of the season and then do this surgery, which will take you 5 to 6 months to recover, so we can go out and overspend at the deadline, make a whole bunch of guys our players, and then we can go into the playoffs with you activated off the LTIR, and we will be over the cap legally. Okay, I'm kind of done joking about it. Talk to me in the comments what you thought about this entire video over here. Domi, what happens to him? Hopefully he recovers well. Anderson and Nyquist, how these guys have been handling their shoulder injuries too. Anderson looking pretty alright for Montreal. 1 goal in 10 games isn't ideal, but you know what? It is what it is. Talk to me in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this video, and bye.